everyone, I'm Larissa Davis, immigration attorney, and today I'm talking about evidence that you should get together to show that you have a bona fide, valid marriage. And some of the evidence might seem obvious, but then there's some other ideas that I want to give you based on my experience with clients in the past that you might not think of that can be some really strong evidence. Okay, so first, some of the obvious things would be like your marriage certificate. That's very important. If it's not in English because you were married in another place where the certificate was done in another language, you'll need to get a certified translated copy so you can give USCIS both a copy of the original and the translation of that marriage certificate. Okay, so some other documents that you want to provide include identity documents for both yourself and your spouse. So the petitioner and then the beneficiary spouse, like birth certificate, so they can verify identity, age, that sort of thing. If you have passports, you'll want to have unexpired passports to show. As far as showing the actual marriage, if you are sharing any kind of expenses together, or even if you're not, a bank account, a joint bank account is very strong evidence. And so if you can show statements where both of you have access to the funds and you're making deposits and withdrawing, that's a good set of records to show USCIS. Another one, and this is common that people get, and that is affidavits. These are sworn personal statements by friends and family who either know both of you, or they attended your wedding as a guest, or they know how you met, and they can put in their own personal statement in their own words how they know you. You should not turn in affidavits from family members and friends that all say the exact same thing. I've seen this before, and when clients give me affidavits like that, I give them back and I tell them what is expected. And that is that each person that is submitting an affidavit has their own way of explaining to the US government how they know you or how they know the spouse and the details of their relationship. And that is really helpful, because if USCIS sees a bunch of affidavits that say the exact same thing, it's not very useful evidence to support a marriage. Okay, I already talked to you about a joint ownership of property, but the other is property of residence. So wherever you have a shared home together, whether you're renting somewhere or you have a home, if you are both living together, you want to show proof of that. So that could be utility bills, it could be a lease, it could be the mortgage. If it's only in one person's name, you'll have to be prepared to explain why to the USCIS officer. But if you have supporting bills showing that you both live at that address, it's going to be very helpful. Okay, so photos. Be smart about your photos. You want photos that show both of you together in different places, in different periods of time throughout the evolution of your relationship. So over the months and years that you may have known each other. If you've only known each other for a short time, let's say 9 months to a year, and you get married, yeah, that is a shorter period of time. But if you've been spending a lot of time together and you've already decided to get married, you should have some kind of photos or something together. Now, if you come from a culture or religion where photos are not allowed, and I have represented clients where that's the situation, don't freak out, don't panic, that's okay. There are other forms of evidence that you can use to strengthen your petition, even if you don't necessarily have photos together for religious purposes. And if it is for religious purposes, you would also submit any kind of information showing your religion. Okay, so proof of gifts is one I think people don't really think about. So if you and your significant other have given gifts to one another and you have a photo of that gift, or you have social media posts, that is a great piece of evidence right there, especially if there's a wedding ring or expensive jewelry, trips together, travel itinerary. That sort of thing is going to be helpful in addition to photos. And again, you want it to be appropriate photos where you can both be identified. It's always important to label the photos too with who's in them. So if you have, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, and other people, you want to say who they are and put the date. If you don't remember the exact date, if you put month and year or the season, maybe spring 2009 at the beach in such and such place. That's going to be helpful to the USCIS officer, and it's going to help you stay organized as well. All right, so a legal name change. I know in some cultures the women do not change their name, in others they do. So if there was a legal name change, bring evidence of that documentation to show the name change. This one is one that came up with some past clients, and it's a great piece of evidence, and they didn't even think of it, and I'm glad it got brought up before they had to go turn everything in, and that is a tattoo. If you have the tattoo of your significant other somewhere on your body that you can take a photo and you can show to USCIS that you got their name tattooed on your body, hey, that's some great evidence to show a commitment in a bona fide marriage. So I hope that these give you some ideas. You can also take screenshots of text messages between the two of you. Obviously, you don't want anything that's maybe too personal or inappropriate, but if you have a few over a period of time to show that you do communicate with each other fairly frequently and that you love one another and you support one another, then you are on the right track and you will do very well, I would guess, based on my experience, if you have these kinds of evidence and you're consistent with your testimony when you do eventually have your interview at USCIS. I am experienced with prepping clients for these types of interviews, gathering the evidence, getting it sorted out, getting it organized. It's so important to have it organized, chronological order by the type of evidence. And then there's other questions that come up about travel and all kinds of things. So if you do not have an attorney and you want to talk to me about petitioning for your spouse, or you're in the process now, or you got an RFE because you did it on your own, that happens a lot too, where clients come to the attorney after they start a process and they need help. I am here to help you, and you can set up an appointment with me by calling. You can book by either calling me, texting, or WhatsApp, and the phone number is 601-724-9255, and my email will also be in the description box below.